initially I didn't plan to film this week, the week leading up to Halloween, but I have collected a few moments that I've filmed. It's not a lot, like it's not a real week in my life really, because I haven't filmed that much. There are probably a few days when I haven't filmed anything, so instead of putting up like a really short vlog, I was thinking that I could make a part of this vlog into a story time. Because it's Halloween, I was thinking of telling you guys the spookiest thing that I've ever been through. It's fitting. Anyway, before I start the story time, I think it's important to say that I would not say that I believe in the paranormal or anything like that. Now that's simply because I haven't actually been through anything that is serious enough for me to confidently say that I believe. However, it really doesn't mean that I believe that other people who say that they have been through stuff, it's not like I think that they are lying about their experiences, okay? It's just that I haven't been through enough for myself with personal experiences for me to confidently say that I believe in it. But with that being said, I have been through a few things. I am a lover of anything paranormal, anything spooky. It doesn't mean that I really want to actually go through anything like that, obviously. It's all fun and games until it actually happens to you, of course. I love horror movies, I love Halloween, I love anything spooky, but I am very grateful that I haven't really been through anything myself. But there are a few things that have happened, and today or tonight I'm gonna tell you about what I think is probably the most scary thing that I've ever been through. And till this day, I don't know if it was paranormal or if I was actually in like real danger, like if it more had to do with stalking, kidnapping, but you'll understand. So this was back in, I think it must have been back in 2018. It was after I had graduated high school. I got my very first job at a warehouse, and obviously I was still living at my parents' place at this time. This warehouse was located maybe like, I don't know, a 10 minutes, 15-minute walk from my parents' house. So I would just walk there back and forth every day. And so this was in October, maybe November, but it was definitely before Christmas anyway. It was getting really dark in the evenings, and just like any other day, I was walking home and it was dark outside, pitch black, and this warehouse was located basically right next to a gym that my mom used to go to. And quite often she was working out at the gym, and if I finished around the same time that she did, she would pick me up. I could see like on my Find Friends app that she was at the gym this day. And so I texted her asking her if she was going to be done soon, and I didn't receive an answer, so I started walking home. And I remember I was listening to a new song, like, actually I can check when this song was released. It was a new song by Mickey Echo, Blood on the Surface. Okay, October 13th. So it was the first time that I was listening to it, so I had my earphones in, and basically there's like a railway that you have to cross, like all the way home from the warehouse to my parents' house. It was, I'd say, a very safe road. It wasn't like a deserted area at all. There were houses around, but in this particular part there was a forest on the right side. So basically I crossed the railway, so you have the road where the cars are, and then you have a really wide sidewalk, and then there's the forest, right? It's not a like big forest or anything, but when it gets dark, it gets really dark. And then there are like houses above and beneath it, and sort of on the left side, but you can like barely see them. Anyway, I was walking there and I had my earphones in, listening to this song, and you know, the first time you listen to a song, you obviously don't know what it sounds like. Like sometimes it might be a random, like strange sound. That's kind of what happened, because as I was listening to the song, I started hearing this really strange sound, and initially I thought it was coming from the song, but then it just kept going, and I remember being like, this feels strange, like why would a song have this type of sound? Like it doesn't make any sense. So I removed one of my earphones and I listened to see if the sound was actually coming from like around me somewhere, which it did. So I paused the music and I started listening, and the thing is, I can't explain what this sounded like, because I remember as I was listening to it, I could hear that it was coming from the forest-ish, but I couldn't tell if it was sort of more above me or beneath me or like right next to me, because it was sort of just everywhere. And the actual sound, it sounded both human and almost mechanical, or like music, like instruments, but it also sounded, like I said, as human beings were making the sound. But simultaneously it also sounded like animals. In one way it sounded like it was coming from one source, but also like it was coming from multiple sources. Now I understand that this sounds crazy, but that's what was so strange about it, because like I could not place it. As I was listening to it, I remember literally like slowing down and like looking into the forest and just being like, what is that sound? And just, I was so focused on trying to understand what I was hearing. I wasn't scared at all at that point. Like I was just so confused, like why can't my brain wrap itself around what this is? As I was like hyper focusing on this sound, I suddenly like noticed that there were some headlights coming from behind me, and I wasn't really thinking about it, but obviously like I noticed, okay, there's a car coming from behind me, and it made me relax a little bit, because at this point I was kind of getting a little bit uncomfortable about the sound, since I couldn't place it at all. I continued to like try and listen to the sound, and I could hear the car, and I kept walking really slowly, like I was barely walking, that's the thing. And the car kept coming, and I kept on like kind of walking a little bit, and the car was still there. And that's when I kind of realized that, oh wait, there's a car next to me. The sidewalk is wide. So initially I thought, oh, it's just a car that has like, they probably missed me. They slowed down for whatever reason and they just didn't really see me because it was really dark. But it just kept driving in the same pace as I was walking. Like it barely moved. And so that's when I thought, oh, it's my mom. Now, she would go to and work out usually with a friend, and I'm so bad with cars. Like, I can recognize my parents' cars, but any other cars, I'm just like, no. So I thought, okay, this is my mom's friend's car, because that would sometimes happen. Her friend would be driving and they would pick me up. But the thing is, I'm a paranoid person, okay? And since I'm also so rubbish at recognizing cars, at this point I was really like, I would get so annoyed whenever my parents would pick me up somewhere and they wouldn't open the door or roll down the window to like wave and make sure that I could see that it was them. Because there were so many moments where they would just sit in the car and just assume that I would understand that it was their car. I mean, it's one thing if you can see the number plate, but if you can't, then like I'm not gonna jump into a car without knowing 100% that it's my parents or whoever is picking me up, right? So at this point, I had just, I think maybe a few days before this, had a conversation with my parents, like, please, if you're picking me up, just open the door, roll down the window, and like wave, make sure that I can see that it's you, because I'm not gonna risk it. Like, I was really annoyed at them because this happened so often that they would just assume that I would understand that it was them. Especially like, if it's not their car, how should I know that it's their friend's car? Anyway, it was this whole thing. So at this point I was like, okay, it's my mom and her friend. But I just had this conversation with my parents a few days ago. And so at this point I was just getting really annoyed. And I just kept on like slowly walking. And I just thought that I'm just gonna ignore the car until they roll down the window and like say hi. Like, hi, it's us, you can jump in now. But it just didn't happen. Like, the car just kept on slowly rolling beside me. And so it was just really making me uncomfortable. And so I decided to call my mom just to be like, can you just like roll down the window? Like, we just talked about this. It's making me uncomfortable. That's what I was thinking. So I called her and she didn't pick up. And I was like, so typical my mom, like she never picks up. And so I kept calling her and I checked her location and she was still at the gym. And that's when it dawned on me that this car that was driving right next to me and that had been following me now for a while, that was not my mom. Still, I was like, oh, no, I'm sure it's someone from work. So I thought, okay, it's a colleague, they've seen me and they maybe want to offer me a ride. So I tried to like look into the car to see like, okay, is someone there? Is someone trying to make themselves known? And it was pitch black inside the car. Like, I could see that there was no one sitting in the passenger seat, but I could not see anything on the driver's side. Pitch black. Pitch black. Like, it was an unnatural type of darkness there. There was just no way that a colleague would have done that to me. Like, it didn't make any sense, right? So that's when I kind of realized that, okay, this is not my mom. It is probably not a colleague either. This is a stranger. And that's when I started getting scared. Up until that point, I felt just confused. Initially, I felt annoyed when I thought it was my mom. I hadn't felt scared up until that point. That's obviously when my heart started racing, and as I realized that this is a stranger that has been following me, and there's a forest on my other side. Sure, there are houses further up on the hill and also like further down, but right now someone could open the door and just grab me and nobody would see it. But like, still, I didn't want to panic, so I tried to call my mom again. She didn't pick up. I called my dad. He didn't pick up. As my panic started to like grow and grow and grow, I kept calling them and they just wouldn't pick up. And so at some point I just decided that, you know, I'm just gonna start to pretend like I'm talking with someone. Like, I started moving my mouth because I was holding the phone like this, and as I was calling, I just started to kind of move my mouth as if I was talking on the phone. And that's when I heard the window roll down slowly. And I thought, okay, someone is finally like gonna say something like, oh, sorry, I didn't see you, or hey, like, do you wanna ride? Like, someone from work or whatever. As I remember looking into the car again, nothing. Silence. And that's when I realized that they were trying to listen if I was actually on the phone with someone. I can't even explain the panic that I was feeling. At this point, we had reached the first house on the hill, and so that felt safe. However, it meant that the sidewalk was getting more narrow, so I was forced to walk closer to the car. But at least there was a house next to me and there were more houses above me. If something happened and I would have to scream, people would probably hear it. That's the only thing that didn't make me absolutely lose it. And yeah, basically that's it. We reached the top. Well, it wasn't the top of the hill, but like, because it was a T-junction, the car would either have to turn left or right, and I stopped there. Like, I was standing right next to the fence to the house, and I just stopped, basically forcing the car to go one way or the other first. And I was just ready to like grab hold of the fence if I had to. Like, the car eventually turned left and I walked right. And that's when, I don't remember if it was my mom or my dad, but one of them picked up. And I just remember being so shaken, like I was physically just like so terrified. Still to this day, I have absolutely no idea what this was. Because remember the sound that was coming from the woods, and then there was a car, which is scary in itself. Just the whole situation felt so strange. I can't forget the blackness. It was an unnatural darkness inside that car. And that sound coming from the woods, the fact that it sounded like so many different things at the same time, all at once. I can't really explain the feeling, but it has just stuck with me ever since it happened. Like, regardless if it was paranormal or whatever it was, it's such a terrifying situation. Just the thought of not knowing if I was in real danger or not. Like, when I say real danger, I mean, was this a stranger that was maybe planning on taking me? Or was it just a coincidence? I don't know. To this day, it is the most terrifying thing that has ever happened to me. There are a few more things that I would love to talk about at some point. But yes, I thought this was a good spooky story for this video. And I just hate the feeling of not knowing, you know? And believe me, I've been going over this thing so many times. Anyway, with this story time, I just want to wish you all a happy Halloween and also a happy November, because when this video comes out, it's gonna be November. And I am so excited about Christmas. Although I love Halloween. I love Halloween so much, always have. But Christmas is just, you know, it's something special. If I absolutely have to choose, I will pick Christmas. Just this entire period of the year, like the Burr months, September, October, November, December, right? They are just it's my favorite time of the year. Anyway, I'm gonna have a sip of my tea before it gets cold, and I will see you in the next video.